Hello and welcome to today's video. We'll be discussing an album off of a pretty large band named Tool. The particular album in question goes by Ænima. Before we get any further, it should be noted that the lyrics and music obviously convey multiple interpretations, in which many people are able to connect to it. That's why we'll be following in accordance of Maynard's life, in order to try to accurately portray his perspective, and perhaps gain a little insight from it as well. To begin with, we'll start with the title of the album itself, Ænima. Ænima is a combination of words, one being anima, the Latin word for soul, and the archetype of the feminine found in the male's psyche, an idea pioneered by Carl Jung and his theory of the unconscious. The other word being enema, which is the purification of one's rectum using water. With this information, you can assess that the album as a whole has to do with the cleansing of the soul. Ænima is also where Tool as a band really find their voice, featuring more instruments and psychedelia in their performance. The band also dedicated the album to the passing of comedian Bill Hicks, who was known as a social critic and as anti-establishment. Going into the tracks themselves, we start off with the title Stinkfist, which is an obvious reference to the act of fisting another individual's rectum, consentingly. Maynard uses fisting as a metaphor to describe the act of abusing the sense of pleasure, or dopamine. Seems to accurately portray this feeling. After a while, subjugation to desire eventually just becomes slavery. This being at the beginning of the album shows the state of the artist prior to the process of self-introspection, seeking escape through pleasure and finding himself in a vicious cycle. Eulogy, the second track off of Ænima, speaks about failed prophets and martyrdom, thus the whole lot of nothing to say. Standing above the crowd, he had a voice so strong and loud, and I swallowed his facade 'cause I'm so eager to identify with someone above the ground. Maynard also shares his view on their followers and the idea of idolation. Perhaps the song is about Maynard himself, and him admitting his faults. But theories range from Jesus Christ, L. Ron Hubbard, to even Bill Hicks himself, who the album is dedicated to. To conclude, Eulogy is Maynard's feelings towards crony martyrdom. Ænima's third track, H, has been implicated with his son Devo Keenan, whose middle initial is H. Clearly, his son's birth affected him, and reasons as to why vary from simply the weight of fatherhood to Maynard's past relationship and abuse from his stepfather. Void of hate, but killing me just the same. He was afraid he'd lash out at his son and wife. He feels the emotions resurge through him onto his loved ones. Snake behind me hisses what my damage could have been. He's projecting that pain on others and attacking that illusion, despite the individual. My blood before me begs me, open up my heart again. His child pleads for him to forget his past and start over fresh. Eventually Maynard can overcome the urges, hence the snake is drowned, and as I look in his eyes, my fear begins to fade. Useful idiot consists of only static. A nice way of putting it would be a state of mundaneness, or the 46 before the 2, which is where 46 and 2 come in. At first glance, it looks like Maynard confronting his shadow, the rejected parts of his psyche, as and seem to suggest. The title could refer to a Bible verse, Psalm 46 and 2. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth give way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea. But another popular idea is that of esoteric author Drunvalo Melchizedek, who believes in the existence of 3 different types of humans, each with their own perspective of reality. The first type only have 44 chromosomes, and see everything including themselves as the offspring of a homogeneous energy. The second type have 46 chromosomes and would be considered the average human. They're described as discordant and a stepping stone for the next level, that being 48 chromosomes, who have a higher level of consciousness. The only part that's associated with Jungian theory is the belief that the evolution into higher levels lie behind a lock, and the key to progress is introspection and self-cleansing. This is a conspicuous example of transformation of oneself. To conclude, 46 and 2 is about Maynard integrating his weaknesses and working with them. Next, Hooker with the Penis tells the story of a kid declaring himself to Maynard an OGT and talking to him about their album, Undertow. Evidently, the kid calls him a sellout, as I met a boy wearing Vans 501s and a dope Beastie T, nipple rings, and new tattoos that claimed that he was OGT from 92, the first EP, and he thought we were selling out. Seemed to show. But Maynard flips it around, pointing out the role we all play within the diameters of our economic system. If I'm the fucking man, then you're the fucking man as well, so you can point that fucking finger up your ass, he suggests. Continuing through the album, Jimmy is the next track on the list. Looking at the lyrics, this seems to be Maynard coming to terms with his mother's death, as he was 11 when she died. The memory constantly echoes from behind the veil, the voice from a child that is left standing there. And show exactly that. The child seems to represent a lost and frightened innocence that he must reintegrate into his ego. I'll move to heal as soon as pain allows, so we can reunite and both move on together, is quite reminiscent of incorporating your Ænima. It was David Foster Wallace who said, "The more we're taught to list and resent the things that we were deprived of as children, the more we live in that anger and frustration, thus remaining children." With that in mind, Jimmy is Maynard reconciliating with his mother's death. Following Jimmy comes Push It. Push It seems to have a large connotation to romantic relationships, based solely on sexual desire and no real understanding of one another, as well as the toll that comes with loving the wrong person, as alive when you're touching me, alive when you're shoving me down, could propose. Young believed that love at first sight was a product of partners projecting their Ænima onto each other and falling in love with an illusion. Other interpretations include the different emotions that play out in our conscious, making it a battleground at times. Staring down the hole again, hands are on my back again, survival is my only friend, terrified of what may come, tells that quite nicely. After Push It, the next track on Ænima is Ænima. The song is based heavily off of the rants of Bill Hicks, a close friend of Maynard's. Both of them hated LA and the LA culture, and in Ænima, Maynard creates the image of the city of Los Angeles being submerged under a flood. Evidence for such a thing comes from as well as he doesn't intend for this to be a doomsday prophecy, rather a positive change. He asks us to read between the lines, and why wouldn't you welcome any change, my friend, implying a positive shift upon the culture's departure into history. Keenan has a theme of suggesting that simply living absorbed in the moment, day to day, and accepting it as the only thing that truly exists will free you from the shackles of human existence. We then go into ions, negative ions to be specific, which are actually beneficial to the human body and are found in nature, while positive ions aren't good for the body and can be found in our computers and TVs. The song is very meditative and sets us up for the finale. Finally, we reach Ænima's last track, Third Eye. The title itself refers to the pineal gland and is often associated with enlightenment and a state of higher consciousness.
Into my head. Living life is but a dream. I've spent so many years in question. Find out no this all along. Seeing you
Maynard continues to recognize his Ænima and to grow. It's detailed as, I do not recognize the vessel, but the eyes seem so familiar, like phosphorescent desert buttons. As there's no real face to the Ænima, you recognize it by its eyes. But recognizing the illusion and projection is painful, hence the Therefore, Third Eye is the culmination of Maynard's journey thus far. And as for pain, it was Khalil Gibran who said, your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain. And could you keep your heart and wonder at the daily miracles of your life, your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And would you accept the seasons of your heart, even as you accept the seasons that pass over your fields? You would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Ænima was Tool's divine comedy, where each track portrays another level of hell and explores the feelings associated with it, until the sense of self amalgamates in Third Eye, where he comes under control of his desires and emotions. Ænima lends a hand down for those trapped in their personal hell, offering strength to continue. Much like Virgil led Dante towards heaven's kingdom, Ænima seeks to guide us towards a harmonious and fruitful psychological state. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.